The Red Raiders secured arguably the greatest transfer portal class in modern college football. But the position group that had the biggest overhaul for the Red Raiders and benefited most from that transfer portal class was the defensive line. And in today's video, we'll discuss the plethora of new additions to the Texas Tech defensive line, including 4 projected new starters and a guy that is on the 2 deep that was arguably a top 3 defensive tackle in the Big 12 last season. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning into all these preview videos and showing them love. The next one here on the channel, we'll discuss the quarterbacks of the defense, the linebackers. But if you want to know about everything offensive here for your Red Raiders going into 2025, go check out the previous 5 videos here on the channel. All right. I do want to jump in straight to the question of the day here on the video. One word to describe this new Texas Tech defensive line, because as I mentioned, there are 5 new guys in this position group that I think have just completely changed the landscape, the way people view Texas Tech nationally. Because when you look at the 4 horses that Texas Tech could potentially start on this defensive line going in to 2025, it's kind of unbelievable. But give me your one word to describe this new Texas Tech defensive line group. Maybe it's unbelievable. I'm not sure. Let me know down on the pinned comment below. All right, let's just jump right into this, shall we? And before anybody comes at me, let's be real. Romello Height and David Bailey, they are edge rushers. We're going to include them in the defensive line. I understand outside linebacker, boundary end, field end, outside linebacker for David Bailey. Like, sure, I get it. They're edge rushers, okay? They're here to get after the damn quarterback. Can they do more? Yeah, but they're trying to get after the quarterback. So that's why they're in the defensive line depth chart and defensive line position previews. But you look at this as well. I have it by design that these guys are in their former school's colors, at least 5 of the 8 that are on your screen right now, because it shows you the overhaul that this position group had gone through really in about 6 weeks, if you look at 4 of them. And then David Bailey being the late addition right when spring camp was set to begin after Stanford fired their coach. And hey, I never want to see a man get fired, but Texas Tech benefited off of that, landing arguably the best pass rusher in this past portal class. So when you look at this, drastically different, and you had a lot of guys transfer out, but you had impactful players transfer in. Let's start with Romello Height. We'll move from right to left on this. So boundary end, outside linebacker, Romello Height. He's played quite a few places, including Auburn, USC, and now transferring in from Georgia Tech to play at Texas Tech for his final year of eligibility with the Red Raiders, okay? He's 6'3", 250. He has NFL pedigree. Now, he probably could have gone to the NFL this past NFL draft and got drafted maybe in the 6th, 7th round, or been a high priority UDFA, undrafted free agent for those that don't know. But instead, made some good money going to Texas Tech, right? But also has a chance to play in a defense with Sheil Wood, the new defensive coordinator for the Red Raiders, that has proven time and time again to get the absolute damn most out of the guys on the defensive line. We move onward. Then you have the defensive tackle, a guy that I think, rightfully so. There's a lot of guys on this defensive line that are getting a ton of buzz, and we'll talk about the 2 biggest ones here in just a second, and Lee Hunter and David Bailey. I don't think people are giving Skyler Gill-Howard enough credit for how damn good he is. Now, are his measurables going to pop? No, he's 6'1", 290, but go watch the tape. He is the perfect complement next to a guy like Lee Hunter, in my opinion, who is that refrigerator with legs that no one wants to deal with on opposing offensive lines. Skyler Gail Howard, he has some strength, but he also has some slipperiness to it. He has a really good technique, and he's quick, okay? He's a guy I'm uber excited about, and if I could recommend you to go watch one game from his tape up at Northern Illinois, I recommend you go watch it when his Huskies went up to the Golden Domers, Notre Dame, a team that played in the national title game. And I'm telling you right now, between both Notre Dame and the Huskies of Northern Illinois, Skyler Gill-Howard was the best defensive lineman in that game, period. Go turn on the tape. He is a star, in my opinion. Then we move on and we'll talk about, these are arguably the two biggest additions for the Red Raiders. No pun intended there. I know Lee Hunter is literally a mountain, okay? He's a mountain with legs. Refrigerator undersold it earlier. Number 2, by the way, with how massive he is, it's just awesome to wear. But Lee Hunter, he led the Big 12 last year in pressures at the nose tackle or defensive tackle position in the Big 12. By the way, number 3 on that list, he's actually the backup to Skyler Gill-Howard. A.J. Holmes transferring in from Houston to follow his coach, Sheil Wood, to play out in the 806. But Lee Hunter is a guy that when you look at NFL draft projections going into 2026, right, he is viewed by many as a top 5 defensive tackle / nose guard. Now, obviously, they're not the same. It depends on what kind of technique or scheme your defense is running. But Texas Tech is going to run with 2 interior defensive linemen and then probably supplement guys in terms of 1 pass rusher, drop a guy back, rush 4, whatever it may be, right? But these 2 guys in the middle, Skyler Gill-Howard and Lee Hunter, their job is to go and really just collapse the pocket from the middle. Okay, and Lee Hunter did that better than anybody, and there is a reason he is viewed as a top 5 interior defensive lineman going into the 2026 draft process. Now, a lot can change, but he has proven it time and time again. At UCF last year, he had 33 pressures in the interior of the defensive line. That is an insane amount of pressures for a defensive lineman, specifically in the interior. Right? He's 6'4", 325, but don't let his size fool you. He is absolutely quick with the get off. Okay? He's got the power, he's got the size, but he's quicker than I think a lot of guys, even after watching tape, realize, because I'm 5'9". I don't want to deal with him at the end of the day, but I can't even imagine what it's like for a guy that's even 6'4" on the opposing offensive line, realizing, I'm going to have to try and guard Lee Hunter, who's 6'4", 325 and runs pretty damn quick for his size, has, elephant-like type power, right? I don't know how I'm going to guard him at all, but, he's coming right at my quarterback's face in the sense of he's not coming from the side here, right? Like the left or right. It's right down the A gap, right down the B gap, wherever he's rushing from. And then, by the way, he's pretty good in the run game as well. So, in my opinion, it's hard for me not to say that he is the best interior defensive lineman in the Big 12. And when you think about that, right, remember what I just said there. You don't have to agree with me, but just remember that opinion on my front. And I got some numbers to back it up for Lee Hunter. Now, you look at it, and I think Lee Hunter is side by side with the best pass rusher in the Big 12. And number 31, the transfer from Stanford, David Bailey, 6'3", 250. This guy is a top 5 edge in America, in my opinion. When you go look back at this class that Texas Tech had from a transfer portal perspective, he was the prize. This is the best player right here. It would not shock me with 1 iota of my brain thinking about this for a second if David Bailey was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft next year. Do I think that that's the most likely outcome? No, I don't, but it wouldn't shock me at all. In fact, I think I would be more shocked than anything if he was not picked in the first 45 picks of next year's NFL draft, and maybe even more so a first rounder. He's that good. He is going to shine in this Sheil Wood defense next to a guy like Lee Hunter. He was absolutely historically good for the Cardinal out at Stanford last year as a junior. He's super quick off the edge. He's bendable. He can do really a multitude of things, and I think that that's the part that I'm most excited about, in the sense of he can get after the passer in a multitude of ways, and now you put him next to a guy in Sheil Wood from the coordinator perspective that everywhere he's been, whether it's at, his alma mater down there in North Carolina, right? Or whether that's, at Troy, whether that's outside down in Louisiana, right? Or now, hey, here we go. Now you're in Houston. And by the way, the only reason Houston won games last year was because of their defense. Now you supplement that elite defensive scheme with elite defensive players, most notably David Bailey and Lee Hunter, and you have a chance to do something. The biggest flaw for Texas Tech last year was the trenches, both offensive and defensive, okay? The defense side of it, there was a lot of injuries, but you just didn't have guys. Like, in terms of, when I say guys, you didn't have dudes, if you know what I mean by that, in the sense of you didn't have stars, okay? You've got stars here, right? You have the guy that was third in pressures from the interior of the defensive line as a backup in A.J. Holmes here, right? You have a guy in Jaden Cofield backing up Lee Hunter, who's a sophomore, who I would have felt pretty damn good about if he was the starter for Texas Tech at nose guard. You've got Charles Esters, a guy that when he is healthy, he is proven he's pretty solid. And don't get me started on TT on the other side, backing up Romello Height there. Terrell Tillman, remember what he did against West Virginia in the final home game of last season? 2 sacks, right? You've got some guys that, albeit don't have a ton of experience in production, they're not going to be asked to be superstars because you've got a quartet of superstars already starting. Oh, and then no disrespect to A.J. Holmes either. I think he's a star. You just have a plethora of just an embarrassment of riches, to be honest, right now for Texas Tech on this defensive line. And this is the unit that is going to change everything for this team, in my opinion. Everything. Because you know how good your linebackers are, and we'll talk about them later on here on the channel with Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts leading the way. Your secondary is projected to be a little bit better, but this position group right here is going to be the one that changes the whole complexity of this Texas Tech roster from top to bottom, even from the offensive side, because you're going to have the option and the potential to actually get after the quarterback. Something that just didn't happen really at all last year if you're the Red Raiders. It just didn't. You didn't get after the quarterback consistently, okay? And now you have multiple guys on the end in David Bailey and Romello Height that are proven at a very high level, and 2 supplementary pass rushers in terms of the 2 deep from Charles Esters. And then you've also got Terrell Tillman, guys that have sneaky bend, power, and also speed and get off of the line to just supplementally put them in there. If David Bailey needs a break or Romello Height needs a break, whatever it may be, you've got depth. And Texas Tech has not had depth to this caliber on the defensive line in, I don't know, a quarter century. I'm trying not to overblow this, but this is easily the best position group on this roster this year, and the one that is going to change the trajectory of this program, in my opinion, and make life easier for everybody else on this Texas Tech roster in 2025. If you can't tell, I'm pretty excited about this damn team this year by the previews. One more time, let me know your one word to describe the Texas Tech defensive line group down on the pinned comment below. Mine, dominant. I think this is going to be the most dominant defensive line group in the Big 12 this year, period. I don't think that that's saying a whole lot in the sense of the expectations, but I think they're going to go out and they're going to prove it, right? They went out and added 2 of arguably the best at their respective positions, if not the best in this past portal cycle, and Lee Hunter at nose guard / defensive tackle and David Bailey at an edge. You've got those 2 guys next to each other with 2 other guys in Romello Height and Skyler Gill-Howard that are proven at a high level with A.J. Holmes as well. And I haven't even brought up, Charles Esters, right? You bring in other guys as well from Jaden Cofield and Terrell Tillman. You are loaded at the defensive line group, and this position group and just group as a whole is going to make things so much easier for Texas Tech, not only on the defensive side, but on the offensive side as well. All right. That's my one word. Let me know yours down on the pinned comment below. And if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football all year long, 100% free. And with the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, over 12,200 strong. Nobody close to that. I think the next closest is like 4,000, maybe 5,000 away. No shade, but y'all are awesome, and y'all just continuously prove me wrong in a lot of ways in terms of what I thought this channel could be. y'all just continue to exceed my expectations, and I truly, truly appreciate it. So again, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, to stay safe and Recon Tech.